a very funny thing happened, and that Wendigoon followed me on Twitter. I was not following him at the time. He never once reached out to me privately, but he did follow me, which means in my eyes that he 100% knew what was happening because I did tweet about it several times, and then followed me to let me know that he knew, and that he was watching. What other motivation could he have had there to follow me in that specific moment, other than to be a method of quiet and deniable intimidation?
So here we go. I'm about to make myself retarded.
Do you guys remember the guy that tried to expose Wendigoon, Mudahar, and Oompaville, and Brandon Buckingham? That goofy-odd dude who made this 4-hour video talking about conservative horror movies. Well, that guy, he did respond. He did apologize, and not only did he make one of the worst exposed videos of all time, he also dropped one of the worst apologies of all time. It feels like this guy's goals is to make the worst thing possible. I'm going to make the worst horror video. I'm going to make the worst exposed video, so much so that he had to private his account. So when I went to seek these tweets, I couldn't find him. And that is the reason why I want to give a big thanks to this guy right here, Connor, fellow YouTuber, cool dude. He had all the screenshots ready. Before we get into it, if you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. We're getting kind of close to have 1 million, so if you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. Let's get into the worst apology of all time. So he says, a thread about the last few days. Many people have said very fair criticism of me and my work, that I did not appropriately portray people, and I would like to address that. Yeah, there was a lot of lies, a lot of slander, accusing Brandon Buckingham of wanting to R-word someone, where that was not the situation at all. To Brandon, I do need to apologize to you for 2 things. The first, you are right. It was wrong of me to use that picture, the picture of the grandpa that we talked about, and I don't think he's sorry. I think he's just sorry he got caught. The image isn't displayed there only once or twice. It's there 3 times. So you had to do this 3 times. You had to think about it 3 times. I really don't think this was an accident. Like, oopsie, out of all the pictures you could have picked, you go for that one. It was just such a weird choice. It was wrong of me to use that picture. I included it to show that you and Wendigoon had a close-knit. There are other images I could have had used to demonstrate that. Well, at least you're kind of realizing how stupid you were. Brandon Buckingham had this to say. Also, using a photo of my grandpa after his brain injury is super cool of you. You seem like a great guy. I want to shake your hand. Nah, like, if anyone tried to expose me for whatever reason, he just slob. He just makes slob content. He's lazy, whatever. If anyone tried to come after me and like my dog died or my mom is sick or, you know, whatever, and they use a picture of that, I will go to your house and pay you a visit. Like, I'm not gonna be cool, because that's personal. Like, if you have a problem with me or my content, you're more than welcome to criticize it. Okay, I'm not above criticism. No one is. But once you get personal, that's where you draw the line, and it's like, nah, dude. Praise of Shadows continues and says, for that, for what it's worth, I genuinely am sorry. And then Brandon did respond, and it's a pretty mature response. I would not have done this. I would have been a lot meaner, but I forgive you for thoughtlessly defaming me, but claiming all white people in deep, how do you pronounce this?
Appalachia.
Should be assumed to be racist, and saying Wendigoon should not be welcome in public spaces because of his assumed beliefs really shows how hateful and insane you are. It's this part of the US, and I'm just looking at the Wikipedia just to get, you know, just to study a bit, to see why he was so aggressive towards Wendigoon and others who belong to this part of the country. In 2021, the region was home to an estimated 26 million people, of whom roughly 80% were white. Now, if you saw my last video, you would see that he has a segment where he's like, people that live in this area are all racist unless they prove otherwise, insinuating that Wendigoon and anyone else who lives in this area is a racist just because 80% of it is white. Now, I'm sure there's some racist people here, and you know what? There's a lot of racist people in California and in Canada and in Mexico and in Europe, and racism is everywhere. This point was so stupid. So I'm assuming there's never been racism in Texas, right?
He has said many times publicly that he lives in East Tennessee, and I'm not even saying what town he lives in. According to the latest census, there are only 23 black people who live in Maggie Valley. There are 15 Native Americans despite it touching the reservation. Most of this area used to be sundown towns. It is about as white as you could possibly get. Deep Appalachia is very white country, and for the most part, is exceptionally racist. Genuinely, in this part of the country, you have to assume that any white person you meet is racist unless they show you otherwise. Almost all of these little towns are well over 90% white.
You using homophobic language by calling me a low testosterone freak does not change my opinions about you. My base thoughts remain the same, even though I should have said them differently. Now, did Brandon call this guy the unforgivable F slur? Oh my god, just saying it makes me want to be sick. Now, did Brandon say you gay plus ratio? No, Brandon really didn't say anything homophobic. And I actually have Brandon's tweet right here. And you guys tell me if this is homophobic. He didn't say you're gay and your mom is gay and your dad is gay and all of you guys are a bunch of gays. He just said you had low testosterone, and I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just keep it real. But that is in no way homophobic. And Brandon continues, I had no idea you were homosexual. I was calling you a low testosterone freak for being a miserable, moody asshole who basically slandered me in an attempt to demonize a close friend of mine. You literally said Wendigoon should be banned from public spaces. I love how Praising Shadows is now pretending to be the victim. Is half-ass apologizing. Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry for this because you said this. You're either going to apologize and mean it, or you're not. Like, you're the biggest loser I've seen in a long time. And then he says this to Mutahar. Your thumbnail art was transphobic. I have nothing else to say to that. Now, I am absolutely sick and tired of talking about Mutahar's thumbnail. Like, that thumbnail is not homophobic or transphobic or whatever phobic. That's just the way Keffels looks, okay? Not trying to be mean here, but Keffels does look like the drawing. If anything, the drawing makes her look a lot prettier, if you ask me. And that artist got bullied by Twitter into privating his account or deleting it. Nice job. People like you are absolutely horrible, and I hate each and every single one of you guys. I genuinely wish nothing but the worst for people like In Praise of Shadows, people who slander people, who lie, who manipulate, who twist their words. This guy sounds kind of familiar to someone that I've interacted with before. Taking you out of context, implying you're a crazy homophobic, transphobic right-winger. Are you guys noticing a pattern here of people that look like this? Just saying. And Mutahar responded and he says, gonna back that claim up. What about painting me as a Tate fan when I wasn't? Wish you the best in a successful future. Mutahar is way too nice. I would have straight up told this guy to fuck off and get ready for his 9 to 5 because YouTube is finished. He's cooked. He's never going to make it. He's finished. This video is going to haunt you for the rest of your life until you drop your last video ever. People are going to bring this up. I always try to do my best. I dropped the ball here in how I presented this. My heart was in the right place. I try to live my life with integrity. Cap. If you have watched me for a long time, I hope you know this. Cap, cap, and more cap. I was overcome with anger because I think it's incredibly dangerous that there is a man in horror, talking about Wendigoon, that you cannot criticize without being called an F-slur for days on end. I think that's a very serious issue here. Every YouTuber is going to have their crazy fans. You got yourself into this. Like, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You could have called out the nicest YouTuber right now, and their fans would have called you the F-slur. Especially when you're someone like Wendigoon that has millions of subscribers and millions of views. It's like, it's bound to happen. Even with YouTubers with like 50,000, like if you call them out and they're loved enough, they're gonna come after you. And you didn't criticize him, all right? It wasn't a valid criticism. You were just slandering him and telling him that he doesn't belong because he grew up rich. He might not even be Native American enough. And it's like, you should not be telling anyone what they are and what they're not. Please go back to taking your medication because you've clearly lost your mind. You weren't criticizing him. You were slandering him and calling him the worst things possible. And now you want people to feel bad for you? And this part right here is where I realized this isn't an apology. This is just him wanting to clear his name because he's getting so much backlash. He says, I made this video to say that even if Wendigoon did not harbor hate, that his fan base was made of it. Yeah, he did not mean the apology. And that he was comfortable making money from that. And I think that point stands true and has now been proven, and it's now time to end this. Wendigoon responded to you and treated you really fucking nice. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, I'm just gonna throw it on screen because if I read it, this video is gonna be even longer than it is now. He was very cool, way cooler than he should have been. I would have definitely called you the F-slur, like at least 80 times. Because the thing is, it's okay to criticize people. And if you have a problem with Wendigoon for whatever reason, go ahead. But be ready for the backlash. And it's like, you didn't only make a bad video. Every content creator ever is guilty of making bad videos, and you grow from that. You don't. You're just slandering and hating. You're jealous that Wendigoon became a millionaire at 20 and you're like 40 and no one cares about you. And the thing is, you have 400,000 subscribers. How are you making $500 per month? Genuine question. I remember when I had 395K, I was not making $500 per month. That whole video just made you seem extremely bitter and jealous of Wendigoon and his success. And this is how it ends. Today, I will be taking that section down from my video. I will be gone for a month. You should be gone for a year while I recharge and work on projects at a slower pace. I thought this was important to talk about. I still do. But the way I went about it was beneath the normal standard that I hold myself to. I'm gonna keep it real here. You're just kind of a weirdo. Like, I don't know how to describe it. You just give me weird energy. But it's not over. So ever since all of this drama went down about a day, 2 days ago, there's been a lot of Twitter posts calling this guy out and calling him out for saying some crazy things. So this person says, the dude currently trying to shit on Wendigoon literally said that inbred cannibals in The Hills Have Eyes, the movie, are representing Native Americans or black people because white people.
The hill people can be representative of anything that you want them to be, really. They can be Native Americans, and the hills themselves can be allegorical of them being forced back onto reservations. They can be Black Americans that have for hundreds of years been forced to live within a dehumanizing system that has balances in place that assure that they never get ahead. They can be anyone who has been a victim of hundreds of years of horrifically violent, white, wealthy, educated progress.
Oh yeah, those cannibals? Those are most likely black people or Native Americans. Why? White people moment. I do think he has a lot of white hatred inside of him. I think he hates himself. Genuinely do think he hates rich people, because this is the second time he mentions this, and this is from 2 years ago. He has a problem in Praise of Shadows criticism of Wendigoon. He's white. He's right wing. His family had money. He was born in 1999. He should quit YouTube and go and go to war with the Boogaloo Boys. Like, I'm a hater, but this is a whole different level of hating. This guy needs therapy, and that's not to make fun of him. I'm genuinely saying this because he's schizo. It doesn't seem like he's all there. The apology is weird. It's like, I'm sorry, but now I'm not sorry. It's hard to even call it an apology in the first place, to be honest. If you guys thought I was done cooking, let's cook for a little longer. So I went to his comment section. It's the same dude that said the Grapists, cannibal incest family from Hills Have Eyes, were actually the good guys because the innocent family were middle class and white. That's one of the takes of all time. And even his own fans are not having it. This person says, coming from a huge fan, this video is a mess and is easily your worst. I didn't realize how much of a schizo IPOS is. So many of the range, surface of puddle level takes. This is the most pathetic video I've seen this year. Noah Samsung, but fat. I gotta finish it with this comment right here. Let me start by saying I don't like Wendigoon. There are lots of valid reasons to criticize him. Now that that's out of the way, I can't believe I just watched a white guy gatekeep indigenous status. I don't care what the guy did when you started claiming he wasn't native enough to celebrate his heritage. That was extremely weird. Like, if someone came up to me and was like, yo, Oscar, you're not Mexican enough. How dare you celebrate whatever Mexican tradition there is? Who are you to tell me that? Who are you to tell Wendigoon that he's native enough? Wendigoon, you're not brown enough, so I don't think you should have that profile picture. I don't think you're indigenous enough. That coming from a white guy like him, that is crazy. Wendigoon, you're not indigenous enough. I'm actually here to question, have you taken the indigenous quiz? And it honestly does come off as a little racist, like you are here to lecture us. You're here to teach us what is indigenous and what isn't, and what passes and what doesn't. As someone who's Cherokee and grew up with only one Cherokee grandmother trying to keep our heritage alive via oral tradition while living far away from any reservation, I had to say something. Is this one of the worst exposed videos I have ever seen? Yes. Is this one of the worst apologies I have ever seen? You bet your ass. Is this one of the worst human beings to ever exist? Yes. When it comes to doing horrible things, I think he's right next to Hitler. Anyways, with that said, what do you guys think of this situation? This guy's cooked. He's gonna lose subscribers. No one's gonna care about him when he comes back. And even if he does manage to move forward, those comments are going to haunt him forever. You made enemies with pretty much every big guy in the commentary field. Wouldn't want to be you. Well, not now and not ever, but thank you so much for watching. I love you. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We're getting close to 500,000 and I'm gonna head out. All right, peace.